Hi, welcome to the Masterclass, Spring Cleaning, Get Your Love Life in Order. I want to thank you for joining us, and I am going to let you know we're going to be starting in just a moment. I just want to give, um, there's one more thing that needs to be set up, and I'm also going to give one more moment for a few more of you to join us. While you are waiting for us to officially begin, I invite you to say hello. There's a chat box there on your right, and just pop into the chat box and say hi to let me know that you are here. Okay, thank you so much, and we will be beginning in just one moment. Say hi in the chat window as you are waiting. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for joining us and for your patience as we got started. I'm so excited to have you here. This is the Spring Cleaning Get Your Love Life in Order Masterclass for single women, and I'm so happy that you took a moment out of your time, out of your busy schedule, out of your life to join me for this webinar. Okay, yes, I see several people that have commented. Oh, wonderful, and said hi. Thank you for that. Let me reply back to you. Hi. Okay, here we go. Post that. Okay, hi Tanja. Thank you for joining us. Hi Sumaya. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. Hi Leslie. Okay. I can't go through and say hi on the line to every single person, but I am going to do my best to reply to you on the chat. Excellent. Okay, so as you have discovered the chat feature, and I see that there are more women on the line than have said hello, so if you want to join the conversation, I invite that you do that to just go over to the sidebar. It's on the right side of your screen that you're viewing us on, and say hello so that we can keep this interactive. This is wonderful. Okay, let me see. Okay, good, excellent. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. Let me go ahead and the screen so that you can see me. Excellent. Great. So I want to let you know kind of what you can expect from our time here together today. We're going to there's going to be a lot that you're going to cover, that we're going to cover. You're going to learn everything that I shared with you in the registration screen. We're going to cover how you can eliminate the saboteurs to your relationships and to the quality of men that you meet. Things that will make sure that you attract drama and disappointment. You don't want those things. You want to learn how to get rid of those things so that you don't attract the drama and you don't attract the disappointment. That's one of the things that you're going to walk away from our time together today. Another one of the things that you're going to learn is the role that spiritual laws play in finding you a good man and how to utilize them for your own benefit. The third thing we're going to cover is the 3 Ds to paving the way for your soulmate to find you quicker and easier. And that is so important. Okay, then wrapping up, we're going to cover the 5 types of frogs. There are actually 10 types of frogs, but we're going to be covering 5 of them during our time together today. 5 of the types of frogs that will break your heart, play with your mind, and leave you feeling broken and lonely. And a lot of times, if you've been the victim of a frog, then you're going to probably be thinking, how did I fall for that? How did that happen to me? I'm so much smarter than that. What happened here? Well, you're going to be able to spot those frogs much sooner so that you don't have to even worry about experiencing those types of things again. And then finally, as with any of my trainings, if you've ever been on either a live training with me in person type of an event, or whether you've been on a teleclass or a webinar, whatever form of training that you have experienced with me, you know that I teach specific strategies and real life stuff. So you will be able to apply these things that you learn starting tonight, starting tomorrow, to help you to attract your Mr. Right. And in the meantime, to be able to enjoy a phenomenal lifestyle. Because as we all know, there's more to life than just having an amazing man as a part of your life. That is an important part, but there's more to life than just that. And we want to be able to enjoy the full scope of life. So that's what we're going to be covering in our time together today. All right, let me share with you the screen that I'm looking at, because I want you to be able to see what I'm seeing. But I also love that interaction, that face-to-face interaction where you can see me as well. So we're going to be going back and forth between that. So these are the things that I just shared with you that we're going to be covering during our time together. And I want to make sure that I remind you about the power of decision. The power of decision is so critical because nothing happens until you decide to take an action. Nothing happens until you decide to take an action. All right. So let me read to you this quote. Um, the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that that would not otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision. And I want to make sure that you see the little graphic here. Decide, expect, believe, and experience. What you decide dictates what you can expect to experience. And then what you expect is going to shape your beliefs. And then finally, your beliefs obviously are going to shape your experiences. And I'm sure you can think of several times that that has happened in your life. And I'm sure you can also think of several times that that has happened in the lives of women that you know. And a lot of times these decisions, expectations, and beliefs lead to what's often called generational patterns or generational curses if the pattern is not a positive pattern. And I'm here to equip you today to break those. If that's something that is a challenge for you, I want you to be able to break it. Now, obviously, the kind of the clincher here is going to be, is that something you want for yourself? Is that something you're willing to do? Because breaking patterns, particularly patterns that are generations old, is going to be not easy necessarily. And so are you willing to put your big girl panties on and do the work? That's the question. Okay. So what are you going to need during our time together? There are going to be several things that you're going to need. I recommend that you have a journal or wherever you, or a binder, notebook, whatever you like to take notes on, whatever you like to capture your thoughts, have that available. Of course, a pen, and a peaceful place for you to be able to listen and fully engage so that you can be here with us. The dishes, they'll be there. Whatever TV show that you want to watch is probably going to show again. Whatever other thing that could be pulling your attention away, I invite you to leave that alone so that you can fully be here. And of course, turn your speakers up. I have my microphone on and I have the volume up as far as it'll go. I invite you to turn up the speaker so that you can hear me. Okay. There are a couple of things that I need from you. I'm going to need for you to be open. A lot of times when I'm working with women, especially women who are highly intelligent, women who are really just highly intelligent women, they a lot of times think they know everything. And I fall into that category too sometimes, where I think I know everything. And the challenge with that is not being open to learning new things and learning a different way to do something. And so I invite you to be open so that you get the most out of this masterclass. Of course, participate. And if you have a question, don't wait for me to ask for questions. Just put your question in the chat and I will come to it. Okay? And of course, you can expect to have a seed either planted, watered, or blossom. And what does that mean? It means you're going to either hear something new here that you've never heard before. That's when you have a seed planted. Or you're going to have a seed watered, meaning you've heard it before and this is just a little bit of repetition for you to really help to bring it home and solidify it for you. Or finally, you can expect to have a seed blossom. And what that means is that you have that aha moment where you get it. You get it. It's life altering those moments. And all three of them can happen for you in today. You can hear something new, have it really reinforced so it becomes a part of you, and then have it blossom. All of those are possible for you to experience today. So I ask you, what if you're here to get uncomfortable? So many of us live our lives in this comfort zone, and we all have comfort zones. We all have the experience where we just know what we're comfortable with, what we prefer, and that's what it is. And we don't, that's not the place to live. That comfort zone, growth always happens in a place of discomfort. That's why they call growing pains. They don't call them growing comforts. As you're growing physically, as your body is growing, when you're a child or in puberty, there sometimes is physical pain associated with that. The same thing happens when it comes to growing yourself personally. The same thing happens when it comes to growing yourself professionally. If I know for myself, I earned a master's degree in hopes of growing myself professionally. Trust and believe there were moments of pain, emotional pain, stress, mental fatigue, etc., that went along with that. And so being able to know that getting uncomfortable isn't always a bad thing. Okay? All right. So how do you know if you're in the right place? You are so in the right place if you're either tired of dating and all the games that go along with it, or you've just decided you're going to opt out of dating. You don't even bother dating. You're single and you've been single for so long that you're starting to wonder, maybe there's something wrong with me. Or if you have a concern that maybe you're just giving the best part of your life to someone who doesn't even value you and appreciate you, then you know you're in the right place, and I welcome you, and I'm so glad that you chose to come. Okay, so I have a promise to you, along with all of the things that I asked you to do to really make the most out of the time we have together. I'm making a promise to you that I'm going to share with you my best stuff, some of my best teachings and my best practices when it comes to attracting a soulmate and getting rid of the obstacles that can stand in your way from attracting a soulmate. But I also know that there's going to be some of you who want more than that. You're going to want to go deeper and further than what we can do in this about an hour and 15 minutes that we have together. And so for those of you who want more, who want deeper level of interaction and of coaching and of training, I promise that I'm going to show you how you can do that before we leave today. Okay? All right. I'm going to go ahead and check in over here. Let's look at these chats, see if any other women have joined us. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you and welcome for those of you who have come in and joined us for the webinar. I'm so happy that you're here. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about myself and my journey to phenomenal love, because it wasn't, this has not been an experience that has been as easy for me as I would have wanted it to be. Now, first, let me tell you the photograph that you're looking at now is me and my wedding with my husband, and I'm so incredibly grateful to have such an amazing man of God in my life. If you have been reading any of the my emails that have been going out informing you of this webinar, then you know that we just celebrated our anniversary, our wedding anniversary, and I'm so happy about that. And so having moments like that where I'm celebrating my anniversary, and and it reminds me of how grateful I am to have what I have right now with my husband, and it also reminds me of what my life was like before I met him and before we got married. And that's kind of what I want to really kind of share with you just for a moment, so that you can know where I'm coming from when it comes to this. Okay. So just as I mentioned, I'm going to take you just along the path with me of my personal journey to phenomenal love. My wedding day was so beautiful. It was everything that I wanted it to be, and the floral arrangements were elegant and unique. That's important to me. The food and the decor was a perfect complement of our theme, and our theme was love around the world. And so having our family and friends there to celebrate with us really made that day unforgettable for me. And as my groom began sharing his marriage vows with me, all of the decor, the family, the friends, they really faded into the background. And at that moment, he and I were the only ones in the room. And the sincerity in his words and the depth of love and connection that radiated between the two of us was so powerful, and it was so overwhelming that it really brought tears to my eyes. And of course there were tears of joy and tears of gratitude, and that's really what you're looking at right here. I remember the enormous feeling of appreciation that I felt to be uniting for life with this phenomenal man that God had chosen just for me. Now, this moment, excuse me, I just took a sip of tea because I'm doing a lot of talking. This moment was both the culmination of my deepest hopes and prayers and also just the beginning of our journey together as husband and wife. And as humbled as I am to be happily married to my soulmate, truth be told, my love life hasn't always been this great. In fact, before marrying the love of my life, I was previously married straight out of college. So there I was, 21 years old, and grown as I thought, and I decided to get married to a man who I thought was the one for me. And that marriage was miserable. It was abusive, and but I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the experience. The best thing that came out of it, though, was my sweet and talented daughter. In fact, it was her that gave me the determination that I would never, ever be treated that way again, or raise my daughter to think that that sort of environment was normal. I remember, I remember nursing her as an infant, and while gazing into her beautiful, sweet, calm eyes, I felt such a strong emotional connection. And the love that I felt for her was indescribable. It was a love that was pure and strong, a love that compelled me to protect her from any kind of harm. And so as I shared those peaceful moments of nursing nirvana with my daughter, I knew that I would do whatever it took to keep her safe and protected from the chaos that I had experienced while I was with her father. So after God released me from that awful marriage, here I was in my early 20s, divorced, and now a single mom to a precious baby girl. I knew that I needed to give myself some time to heal from that disappointment of how the marriage turned out. And I also knew I needed to figure out how I could learn to trust men again, and also how to trust God again, and let go of the anger, hurt, and confusion over how I didn't see the signs earlier and how God could let this happen to me. And I say that I had to learn how to trust God again because I definitely prayed over that marriage before I entered into it. I didn't just say, oh, I want to get married and boom, I'm going to do what I want to do and I'm not thinking about anything else. I certainly prayed over that marriage before I entered into it. But the thing that I realized after reflection and after time is that God allowed me to go into that marriage for several reasons. One of them, obviously, was so that I could have my daughter. And another one was so that I could learn all of the lessons that I learned throughout that marriage so that I could help other women to avoid having the same experiences. And so fast forward a few years and several frustrating relationships later, and I'd even experienced an engagement that I broke off when I learned how to listen to my intuition and how to spot red flags. Those were two things I did not do or even know how to do before I got married the first time. And I'm not even going to kick myself for that because, I mean, I was only 21. So at 21, you know just a little bit, but you think you know a lot of it. And so I don't know if it was just me, but if you can relate, just say yes in the chat, and I'll know that you're with me on that one. Okay, so then that's when I started to get very focused in my prayer life. After those relationships and I ended that engagement, I really got focused in my prayer life, and I stopped trying to bargain with God. And yes, I did try to bargain with God, and it's really laughable, but I learned that giving God ultimatums did not work. In fact, I suspect it probably makes him laugh at the absurdity of it all. I know it makes me laugh because trying to give God an ultimatum is just laughable. So anyway, most importantly, I stopped blaming the men for everything. Upon reflection of all of my previous relationships, I realized that the common denominator was me. And so one night I was especially lonely and disappointed and frustrated with being single. Actually, I felt that way many nights. And I remember feeling so broken and so confused. I sat on the floor praying and crying and asking God to guide me as he saw fit. It was in those moments that he comforted me and he started to reveal something special to me. The things that I needed to stop doing because there were things I was doing that I needed to stop doing, the things I needed to start doing, and most importantly, the mindsets that I needed to adopt and the mindsets I needed to release. Those were all made clear to me. And that was the birth of what I now call the soulmate attraction factor. And it was a divinely revealed series of beliefs and actions that would equip me to stop sabotaging myself by consistently attracting frogs. That was a challenge for me, is that was just who I tended to draw into my life. And following this guidance enabled me to start truly enjoying my life while also preparing for the man that God had chosen for me. In addition to the divine downloads that I received, God also steered me in the direction of other resources that helped, including hiring and learning from a super talented coach. In fact, that experience helped me to see where I was holding myself back from true love due to some conflicting beliefs that I still held about marriage. And I find when I'm working with clients, private clients, that conflicting beliefs are a common problem amongst a lot of women. So whether they're conflicting beliefs about marriage or conflicting beliefs about men, relationships, love, what have you, trust, a lot of us hold those conflicting beliefs. And it wasn't until I chose to invest in myself and work with a coach that I was able to come to that understanding, and then of course to take a different set of actions, a different set of choices to get rid of those conflicting beliefs. I decided to tap into my education in psychology and counseling, and I poured myself into learning about men, marriage, and relationships, and all while growing myself and creating a fulfilling and happy life for me and my daughter. And you know what? All of that, it worked. Once I did all of that stuff, it worked. And I was no longer addicted to frogs. I was enjoying a fulfilling life and meeting my personal and professional goals. I was also happily preparing myself for the quality relationship and marriage that I knew God had in store for me. Then, one ordinary spring day, I remember I met this guy at a religious service, and I knew right away that there was just something about him. And but I didn't know what. I didn't know what the something was. I mean, there was just something about him. And as a woman who was used to making things happen in my career and in other aspects of my life, you have to remember I was the head of my household, raising a daughter for many, many years. And so I was used to, if it had to be done, guess who had to do it? This chick right here, me, Wendy. And so I was used to making things happen. But it took everything in me to wait for him to make the first move, because I knew that was essential for him to pursue me if he was interested. And so I waited, and I waited, and it took almost 2 months. It took 2 months for him to approach me. Honestly, after a few weeks, I just assumed that he wasn't interested, and I let it go. I stopped even thinking about it. And then one day, I was sitting in my car while I was running errands, and my phone rang. And it was a guy I'd met at the same time that I met Mr. Just Something About Him. And the guy had gotten my phone number from a woman in the community. And he was calling to let me know that his friend was interested in me and to see if I would be interested in talking with his friend. After getting over the shock of what seemed to be the randomness of it all, and then chuckling to myself over the flashback to middle school courting rituals, because it really did seem like middle school stuff, but I smiled, and that's when I realized that all along God had been working in the background, and while I was strategically positioning myself so that this guy, Mr. Something About Him, would see me, God was planting seeds of interest in the heart of the man that he called for me. So while I was waiting for him to make a move, God was speaking on my behalf, letting him know that there was just something about me too. And so we began our courtship in May, and on New Year's Eve, he officially proposed. And we got married that spring, exactly 1 year after it all started. And that was several years ago, and I'm still grateful to be blessed with the amazing love that we share. And I share that story, my experience, with you because I want you to know that I know what it's like to be single longer than you want to be single. I know what it's like to enjoy the um, aspects of being single, because being single is not all bad. And if it ever seems as though I'm implying that, I'm absolutely not implying that. There are lots of great things about being single. You get to do what you want to do for the most part, obviously, as long as you're checking in with God and making sure it's in accordance with your values. You get to there's a lot. Just I don't have to tell you the benefits of being single. You probably already know them. And at the same time, when you're single and you want to be in a relationship, there's a lot of downside to being single as well. And so I want to make sure that I'm showing you how you can avoid those if that's something that you want to do. Now, I'm going to take a second to acknowledge one of the comments that's come in as I was sharing my story. Okay. When I asked if you could relate, one of you wrote, "Amen. You get so caught up in the issues in the relationship that you do not trust in God." And that is so true. So true. It's so easy for us to get so caught up in ourselves and our lives and our issues and our experiences, and that we forget that God is there to have our back and God is there to guide us. The question is, are we going to submit to His will? And that's not even a part of what I planned on sharing with you, but since it's coming to me, I feel like I'm supposed to talk about this right now. The issue of submitting. So many of us have a challenge with submitting. We won't even submit to God, so there's no way we're going to be willing to submit to our husband in a scriptural way. And that's so essential that if you have a desire to be married and you want to be married in a way that is scripturally sound, such that God will bless your marriage, then you need to do it in a way that is the way He called you to do it. And that means, one, let me put this caveat out there first. One, picking a man who is trustworthy so that you don't have a problem with submitting to him. Okay, it's foolishness to submit to somebody who's not qualified and capable to be a good leader. But then it's your choice as to whether or not you appoint that type of a person to be the head of your household. Okay, so that's down the road type training, but I want to make sure that I do address that. So many of us, particularly certain groups of us, I'm not going to call us out, but certain groups of us are so used to female-dominated families and matriarchies that we don't know how to, one, acknowledge male leadership, and two, appreciate male leadership. So that's a side note, and I could go take a whole masterclass just on that. Maybe I will at another time, but I want to make sure that we get our content in for today, because that's what you came here for. Okay, let's get back to the screen sharing. All right. Okay, so as I mentioned in my story, that I was the common denominator in all of my previous relationships and everything that was happening. And so that's the same thing for you. You also are the common denominator. Okay, and so what does that mean? It means that if you want to change the different relationships and the different aspects of your life, you need to start with changing yourself. If you want to attract a higher level of man, you need to be a higher level of woman. That's pretty basic and pretty simple, right? Okay, so the first, let me see, let's go back into one of the first things that I said I was going to make sure you got. Okay, so I'm going to make sure, what I'm going to cover right now is how to eliminate saboteurs that attract drama and disappointment. And many of those things are right in front of your face and you don't even realize it. So those hidden saboteurs, or sometimes saboteurs that are right out in the open, have to do with your environment. Okay? And there are two types of environment. You have your physical environment, and then you have your social environment. Okay? physical and social environment. Now, your physical environment is going to include the things that you keep, what I call relationship artifacts, the things that you keep from previous relationships. Those things you need to get rid of those things. Why? Because relationship artifacts, one, obviously they remind you of whoever you were in the relationship with, and that's a relationship that did not work for whatever reason. Why would you want to have that constant reminder as a part of your life? That, in fact, that's one of the things that I have seen clients do is it's almost like they're punishing themselves, or they're torturing themselves by keeping these relationship artifacts around and not wanting to release them. And let me see. There we go. That's way better. Right? Is that better? Yes, much better. Okay, so they're keeping these relationship artifacts around, and it's a form of torturing yourself, because they carry negative energy. Okay, everything on earth carries energy, and it will either be a positive energy or a negative energy. Even us as human beings, we have an energetic vibration. And so if you're keeping items that remind you of a broken relationship around, then that's just keeping that negative energy of that broken relationship in your space. You don't want to do that. Another aspect is that some of us keep these things around hoping that, oh, maybe he'll come to his senses and come back. Well, if he didn't understand the value of who you are and what you bring to his life, then he may realize and come back, and he may not. But either way, are you going to hold yourself hostage waiting for him to come back, or are you going to choose to live a phenomenal lifestyle in the meantime and stay open to attracting the men that God has for you, which may not even be that guy? Okay, so there are several benefits to doing an environmental audit. This is what I recommend to my clients, is the environmental audit that will allow you to go through your home, go through your cell phone, go through your computer, through your car, through your office, any of the places that you go that you might have something from a guy. Dried flowers that he sent you, pictures from your, hanging out together, whatever. Get rid of those things so that you can open the space for something new to come into your life, for a new relationship to come into your life. In fact, when I went through this process, I went as far as to get rid of my mattresses, because I had been on my mattress with a man, someone else that wasn't the soulmate that I wanted to bring into my life. And so I was willing to sleep on an air mattress on the floor until I could get a new mattress, because it was that important to me. When I say I was serious about doing what it took to get a different result, I was serious about doing what it took to get a different result. And the thing is, so many women, so many people, period, but I focus on working with women, are only willing to do what's convenient for them and what's comfortable for them. And then they wonder why they're not getting the full result that they want to get. So I'm not going to get on a soapbox about that, but that's getting rid of the saboteurs in your physical environment. Now let me go on to your social environment. When it comes to your social environment, obviously that has to do with the people that are around you. And I cannot tell you how often I see this take place. And I'll tell you, one of the main culprits for this is on Facebook. Okay, let me back up, because saboteurs in your social environment will be people who, one, have a vested interest in you not moving on and getting attracting your Mr. Right and getting married. They would prefer you to stay exactly how you are, so that you're always available to them. Okay, and those can be people who are family members. They could be acquaintances, friends, peers, whatever category. Okay, and then sometimes they may fall in the category of people who they don't want you to have something that they don't have. So they don't necessarily mind you falling in love and getting married and doing all these things, as long as they've gotten to do it first. Okay? If you have any people in your life that are like that, you need to do yourself a favor and admit to yourself that that's how they are. And if you have a sense that this is how they are, then and release yourself from a relationship with those people. Or if it's a family member and you don't want to sever those ties, then to severely cut back the amount of time that you interact with them. Another thing that I see this causing a problem with is if the way you bond with some of your friends is by griping and complaining about men and relationships and all of these things. If you don't have that as a problem anymore, then they may feel like, well, how do we continue a friendship if we don't have this in common anymore? So rather than having the perspective of some of these people is rather than them stepping up to the level where you are, then they just want to bring you down to the level where they are. Okay? And we know that iron sharpens iron. That's a piece of scriptural wisdom. We want to make sure that the people that we interact with are people who are going to bring us up to our highest and best, who are going to help to challenge us so that we can go to the level that God has for us. And you know that if you have people like that in your life, you want to spend more time, invest more time with them. If you have people who are the opposite of that, you want to pull back and invest or waste less time with them. Okay. The next thing that I want to talk about is the spiritual laws that have an impact on helping you to attract your Mr. Right. Now, there are several spiritual laws, and I talk about many of them in the program that I'm basing this teaching off of, and I probably should have mentioned that to you. All of this, the teaching that I'm sharing with you right now, it's coming out of Module 1 of the Soulmate Attraction Factor program. And that first module is called Ditch Relationship Obstacles, because as I like to equate building a relationship or attracting a relationship with like building a home. When you build a home, the first thing you have to do is break ground, meaning you have to break ground, get rid of all of the, clear out the way so that you can have a clear foundation for the home, the structure that you're building. And if you already have a home and you're renovating it, then you need to do demolition to get rid of the things that are no longer serving you in the home, or that you just aren't even your taste because you just acquired this home and it was someone else's taste. You're getting rid of those things, demolishing the stuff that you don't want so that you can then rebuild it back up. Well, that's what this step is, the Ditch Relationship Obstacle step. And so all of this content, like I mentioned, is right there in the Soulmate Attraction Factor program. And I talk about mindset in every module of that program. So the spiritual laws that I want to talk with you about today, they'll have to do with one, prayer and intentions. So many of us are not clear on what our intentions actually are. And so because we're not clear on our intentions, we don't get them, right? And so if your intention is to, I'm thinking of a client that I worked with, actually a couple of clients that I have worked with, that when they did their, when they filled out some of the pre-work to working with me, they said she said what one of her relationship goals was to get married. She wanted to be able to get married. When I was speaking with her during the coaching session, and I asked her to describe to me what she would like to see, what would make her happy in her relationships, that's not what she said. What she said was, I want what she said was, I want a long-term committed relationship. Well, we all know that you can have a long-term committed relationship that does not culminate in a marriage. And so when I asked her about that, if you did get that, if you met a man who was willing to be involved with you and have a long-term committed relationship, what you just said, what just came out of your mouth, would you be happy? Would that be what you want? And she said, no, I wouldn't be happy with just that. I want to get married. And so I was able to point out to her the disconnect between what she was saying and what she wanted. And that's why I share with you about intention. You need to get clear on what is it that you intend. If what you intend is to get married, then that needs to be what you intend, and you need to really latch onto it, almost like a dog with a bone. If you see like a dog with a bone, they will not let that thing go. And I'm not talking about being desperate and needy and clingy and psycho. I'm not talking about that, because that will turn a guy off. But I am, and that it should turn a guy off, because that's just crazy. What I am saying is, you know where your line in the sand is, and that's what it is. You want a marriage, so if you're talking with someone who, when you get to know them, they're saying, I don't want to get married, then you know, oh, wonderful, thank you so much for being upfront with me. Thank you for you being clear on what your intentions are, because I'm also clear on what mine are, and I know that we really don't need to take any more time from one another, because we're not going to be right for one another. So that will save you a lot of time. The women that I see who waste years and years and years, I'm thinking of a woman who wasted 11 years in a relationship with a man, and she wanted to be married. Um, and he didn't marry her. He never married her. And the years that she was with him, those were her childbearing years. Those were the years that she could have been able to conceive a child, and she never did. She wasted years with someone who was very clear on his intention. She wasn't as clear on hers as she needed to be. So, intention and prayer goes together. Prayer and intention go together. The law of cause and effect, I want to make sure that I address that before we move on to the law of cause and effect. Let me get a sip of tea, though. Excuse me. Okay. The law of cause and effect is, it can be stated in a lot of ways. It can be stated as karma. It can be stated as you reap what you sow. It can be stated as the law of cause and effect, meaning what you do has a direct impact on what you experience, right? And it makes sense. The good thing about that is that means that if what you're experiencing is not what you want to be experiencing, you can start doing something different, so you can start experiencing something different. That's how you use that law, that spiritual law, to benefit yourself. If what you've been doing has gotten you thus far a result you don't want, meaning you're attracting the wrong type of men, or you've been married before but it wasn't a good one and you want a different type of marriage this time, or you've never been married and you've never even had anybody propose to you, you want a man who wants you, and you want a man who wants to spend the rest of his life with you, then you need to do something differently. Okay, that's how you tap into the law of cause and effect. Okay, all right. Let's see here. Let's go into, in a minute, let me see. In a minute, I'm going to share with you the 3 Ds to paving the way for your soulmate to find you quicker and easier. And I'm also going to talk to you about the 5 types of frogs that you want to avoid. Okay, but before we do that, I want to tell you a little bit about this program, the product and the program that I have been sharing all of this information about, where all of it came from. And it's called the Soulmate Attraction Factor program. And there's a link here on the sidebar for you to take a look and see if it's something that that's interesting to you. And I want to make sure that you know that the whole month of May is Customer Appreciation Month, and I chose May as Customer Appreciation Month because that's the month of my wedding anniversary. And so I don't want to be the only one celebrating something this month. I want to be able to share that joy and that excitement of celebrating something with you. And so that's why I'm giving you the opportunity to be able to save 40% off of anything that you want to invest in that I offer, that's through my success boutique, my online success boutique. So, but anyway, if you join me by taking a look at the Soulmate Attraction Factor program, there are several things that you're going to get from that. One, you're gonna learn all 5 of the steps that I teach, all 5 of the modules, that I cover when it comes to attracting your soulmate and living a phenomenal lifestyle in the meantime. Now, the five aspects of the program, they spell out the word dance, because I do believe that the soulmate attraction factor process is like a dance. And in nature, they call it like a mating dance or a mating ritual, if you will. Well, that mating dance is the same that we experience as humans. And so the first step, the first module we've been talking about, and we'll continue to talk about, that's the ditching your relationship obstacles. The second step in the Soulmate Attraction Factor program is activate your inner attraction. And activating your inner attraction has to do with the mind work, the mindset work, the thoughts, the beliefs, the all of that type of thing that goes into being highly attractive, becoming a highly attractive person, so that you can attract the man that God has for you. And let me say this to you. Well, let me go into the next one first before I say that. Navigating your outer attraction is the third step in the program. And the information that I'm going to share with you about the frogs, the 5 types of frogs, that's in that program. I decided to give you a little bit more than just what was in the first step, because I love giving. And it's important to me that you have what you need to get a better result. There's a saying that none of you is truly a believer unless you want for your sister and you want for your brother what you want for yourself. And so what does that mean? It means that, how could I call myself a good believer if I have an amazing marriage and to a wonderful man, but you don't, and you want that for yourself? Like, how can I call myself a true believer if I don't want you to have the same quality of relationship for yourself with the man that God has called for you that I have with myself and the man that God has called for me? So that's just a part of why I do what I'm doing and why I'm sharing so much and teaching so much in this master class. Okay, so navigating your outer attraction, what we cover in that module is, there's a lot. And if you have clicked on the link on the sidebar, then you're on the sales page where you're able to see all what I cover in the program, and you're also able to order if you want to, and yeah, take advantage of it if you want to. Okay. Oh, and let me make sure that you know that the code that you would put into the, let me put that in the comments. The code that you would put into the box, if you decide to order that, is grateful. But don't order it yet, actually. Let me, because I have a little something, a little surprise for you. Grateful is the code. Grateful is the code that you would put into the checkout if you decide to order the Soulmate Attraction Factor program. But anyway, then navigate your outer attraction. The things that we cover there have to do with how do you maximize your look, because every woman has something about her physical look that is beautiful and physically desirable, whether it's your eyes, whether it's your lips, whether it's you have beautiful skin, whatever. Everyone has something about them. Their smile, those are all things that they are stunning and beautiful, whether you're the size you want to be or you're not the size you want to be, whether you're the age that you used to be or you're not the age you used to be, and who of us is the age we used to be, right? So knowing how to really play up your best attributes, so wearing colors that are highly attractive, as opposed to colors that are not flattering for you, and colors that say, don't look at me, leave me alone. You know, you don't want to do that. Expressions. I just saw myself in the screen doing the facial expressions. I talk about body language in that module as well. And of course the 10 types of frogs. I'm going to be sharing 5 of them with you today. But the 10 types of frogs that you want to avoid, I talk about that as well. The 4th step in the process is the celebrate your X factor step. And celebrating your X factor means that you know what it is about you that is special and unique and valuable. We even go through a process of creating a relationship resume. And I show you, I walk you through creating a relationship resume so that you know what you're bringing to a relationship before you go into the relationship. How does that help you? It helps you because one, it increases your confidence of what you have to bring to the table. And it also helps you to know that it serves as a reminder that you don't have to and you don't need to settle for something and someone that is not going to be able to provide the quality of relationship that you want. Okay? Okay. One of the things that we also cover, I think this is in the, I can't recall which step it's in, but it's one of my favorite activities, and it's called the ideal man chart. So you're going to create your ideal man chart, and one of the things that you do in that activity is come up with the things that are your preferences and the things that are your non-negotiables. And there's a little bit more to it than that. I don't want to spill all of the beans, but I want to let you know that actually for most women are operating under a list that they created when they were like either teens or in their 20s. Now, if you're operating and you're a grown woman, meaning you're over 30, super grown, like you're grown in your 20s, but you're super grown, and you're operating still from this list that the younger version, the more naive, the more less sophisticated, if you will, the more foolish sometimes version of yourself created, then what you're going to attract is a bunch of what you probably have been attracting. Okay, so upgrading your list so that you can upgrade the quality of man and the quality of relationship that you attract, that's going to be essential. Okay, and then the final step, the fifth step, the fifth module in the Soulmate Attraction Factor program is establish the foundation for a lifelong happy marriage. And that's critical because just as I was talking about that whole structure of building a home, well, that in that analogy, the home would be your marriage, if that's what you want for yourself. And if you're on this call with me, then I'm assuming that we're on the same page. We are wanting not just to date perpetually. I don't even understand why someone would want to do that. You want to attract your soulmate and then get married and have an amazing, happy life with your soulmate. And of course, when tests and challenges and trials come your way in life, as they will, because we know that it rains on the just and on the unjust, as those things come through your life, you know that you have someone on your side who you can go through those moments with, right? Because I'm not going to even pretend as though having your soulmate in your life means that you'll never have any problems ever. That would be wrong. That would be inaccurate. But having your soulmate in your life means that the problems and the challenges and the difficulties you go through don't have to be as hard. They don't have to be as painful because you have someone there to comfort you and to soothe you and to encourage and support you, to rub your feet when you're tired, and to give you a smile and a hug then that's what you need. And you're there to be able to provide those things for him when he needs them, right? Okay, so that's just a little bit of information about the Soulmate Attraction Factor program. And as I stated, if you are interested in that program, I'm going to show you in a moment how you can get that for free. Okay, so 40% off is great, and free is even better, right? I know it would be for me. Okay, so let's go. Let me make sure. Let me get back into the 3Ds. Okay, so the 3Ds to paving the way for your soulmate to find you quicker and easier. The first D is a dating detox. Dating detox. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, don't date, don't court, let me say this. This is a good moment for me to say. What I advocate and what I encourage for women who want to get married is to court as opposed to date. So courting, what is courting and how does courting differ from dating? Okay. Courting is a process. Remember how we talked about intention just a few minutes ago? Courting is a process that you enter into when you have an intention of wanting to get married and you want to know if this individual could possibly be a suitable spouse for you. And he also wants to know if you could possibly be a suitable spouse for him. Okay? So you are both trying to get to know one another to see if you might be a good fit, a good match for one another as husband and wife. Okay? That is what the process of courting is. Now, how does it differ from dating? Dating is where you meet somebody, you think they're hot, he thinks you're hot, and you decide to hang out a little bit and see, where it goes maybe. Okay? Maybe it might potentially become marriage, maybe it might not. That's not the goal. The goal is to just have fun, right? Now, of course, you can have fun in the process of courting, but you're having fun with an end in mind. And that just me saying that reminded me of an article that I did about how to utilize the 7 habits of highly effective people to improve your love life as a single. So yes, and one of those habits is to begin with the end in mind. So that's why I advocate courting as opposed to dating. Okay, so doing a dating detox so that you're not dating anyone, you're not courting anyone. You're really at this. The purpose of this step is to kind of clear out the pipes a little bit, if you will, and recalibrate. A lot of times a recalibration is necessary. If you're at a point where you don't even know, you can't recognize a good man from a man that's a loser until it's too late. If you're in that category where you can't tell until it's too late that the guy is not good news, you need to recalibrate. Okay, and sometimes people can't even tell even after it's obvious that he's not good news. It's like they're not willing to take a different set of actions even still. So you for sure need to recalibrate in a situation like that. Okay, the next D in the 3 Ds is to dissect. And what do I mean dissect? You need to take a moment, and during this process of your dating detox, that gives you the perfect opportunity to be able to dissect your past relationships, your patterns, the habits that you found yourself falling into. And a part of that dissection might also be not just looking at yourself in this little small bubble, but looking at the people who are around you. And if you are surrounded by women who seem to have the exact same challenge of either not attracting any man at all or only attracting the wrong kind of man and the wrong kind of relationship, if that's what you have in your circle, then you need to dissect that as well and try to find out what is it, why is it that myself and all of the women that I know or a lot of the women that I know seem to have this same challenge. That process of dissection is going to be introspective, and it will help you to get clear on what you're doing that's getting you the results that you're getting, so you can do something different. And a lot of times that challenge, that process can be challenging. And so that's why I encourage working with someone, particularly a professional relationship coach who can help guide you through that process so you don't kind of get lost down in a rabbit hole that's not productive or get caught up in anything that's not going to keep you moving forward to what you're wanting to do. All right, so dissecting is the second of the 3 Ds. The third D is to dump your mechanical boyfriends. Now, if you don't have a mechanical boyfriend, then I guess you've already done this step and you're good. You don't have to worry about it. But if you do have a mechanical boyfriend, I highly encourage you to dump him, and I'll tell you why. If you remember, we were talking about calibrating. The first, in the last step of the dissect step, you were calibrating your mind and your beliefs and your habits, things that are non-tangible. Okay. In this step, when we were talking about how you calibrate your body, your physical body, if you get your body only used to being able to achieve high amounts of pleasure with a mechanical device, then that means that a human, obviously, a human can never compete with a machine. That's just fact, right? A human cannot perform at the same level that a machine will be able to perform. So if your body is only accustomed to being able to receive pleasure from a machine, then when you do meet this amazing, wonderful man, you will have set your body up to not for him to not be able to please you, and you don't want to do that. One of the things that, and I realize that this might be a topic that you did not realize that we were going to go there, but it's life, and I understand as a part as being in your single season, sex and sexuality and horniness, those are things that you're experiencing and you're facing, and they're real life things. And so just because I'm a faith-based coach doesn't mean I'm not going to acknowledge the real life challenges of what it means to be in this space of being single. All right. So I completely encourage you and encourage women to know how to please themselves and know what it takes to please themselves. I don't see anything wrong with that. In fact, it can also keep you from falling into sexual sin with men when you know how to please your own self. But I don't recommend utilizing the mechanical boyfriends to do it because of all of the reasons that I've just mentioned. You can train your body to only be able to climax with the machine, and you don't want to do that. All right, so that's the 3 Ds to paving the way for your soulmate to find you quicker and easier. And even though it might seem like, oh, I'm supposed to take a step back and do this dating detox, and that's supposed to move me further and closer to my soulmate, how does that work? Well, it works because when you take the time to do that dating detox, a part of what you're doing is you're cutting off all of any kind of lingering relationships that you might have had going on in that season. And one of those things might be booty calls. If you've been involved with those, then you need to stop. That's one of the things that you're going to stop when you're doing this dating detox, and you're not going to resume it after you finish the detox. You're going to reposition yourself so that you are what I call sincerely single, meaning you don't have you're not, friends with benefits with anybody. You don't have any kind of lingering, just in case type of a situation going there. You are completely available for when the man that God has chosen for you to come into your life, that you're completely available for him. Because let me put it to you this way. Okay, I have single friends just as we all have single friends, and sometimes you might have a single friend who asks you, hey, do you know any great guys? Do you know anybody who you can introduce me to? Right? That's a good question. And if you're single, you need to be asking your married friends and even your single friends, so they may have like a cousin or a brother or something that obviously they wouldn't be involved with that individual, so he might be a good fit for you. But when you're asking someone to introduce you to someone, obviously, they are going to be looking at you thinking, okay, are you the type of person that I want to introduce to my cousin or my coworker or my brother or whoever? If they look at you and they know that you, I'll just say that you're not a virtuous woman. If they look at you and they know that you are in debt up to your eyeballs and you keep spending on stupid stuff that you don't need, like shoes and makeup and hair products and stuff, like you just keep doing this retail therapy over and over again, and it's gotten you sky high in debt, and you want a man to dig you out of that. Like, if they know this because you've shared these thoughts with them. Like, if they're looking at you and realize all of this work that you have to do for yourself to be ready, then of course they're not going to introduce you to a good man, right? That only just makes sense. Well, it's even more so the case when we talk about praying, oh God, please send my husband to me. Oh God, please send me to my husband. If he realizes that you are still in a place where you're you're not willing to do the work you need to do to become the version of yourself that he wants you to become, so that you're ready for this good man he has for you, then of course he's not going to introduce that man into your life until you've done that work. So many of us are stuck in that season of what I call the 40 years season, where like you're wandering through the desert like Moses and the children of Israel did for 40 years unnecessarily, because you're not willing to get rid of the mindset, the old mindset, the Egypt mindset, so that you can move into the promised land. So you have the promised land mindset. Okay? So if you're not willing to do those things, God's going to wait on you. God's going to wait on you to do your part before he does his part. Okay? And a lot of us are waiting on God to do his part before we'll choose to do our part, but it doesn't work that way. We got to do our part first. He'll do his part when we've done our part. Right? Okay. Now, let's go into the 5 types of frogs. Before I do that, let me see if there are any questions or comments. Okay, before I move on. So I don't want to go too fast, and I get so excited and passionate about this when I'm doing it, when I'm teaching and instructing. Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay, good. We're all caught up. Okay. So the final, let me see. The final step is the 5 types of frogs. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm doing a slide here. Now, when I teach this, I normally only just cover 3 types of frogs, but I wanted to give you a bonus this time, and so that's why I'm covering 5. All right. So the first type of frog that I'm going to cover is the bullfrog, and the bullfrog is an abuser. He is controlling, and he a lot of times has a temper problem. He's abusive. He's controlling and he's abusive. Okay, so that's pretty clear. Now, how can you recognize that before the abuse takes place? And let me give you just a quick little, I guess, kind of tutorial on the types of abuse, because there's more than just physical abuse. We all are very aware of that, and more of us are also becoming aware of emotional abuse and verbal abuse. But you also have financial abuse, meaning he makes it so that either you can't work and you want to, so you're financially dependent on him. You also have what's called religious abuse, where he uses your religion to quote unquote keep you in your place and to control you and keep you where he wants you to be. It may sound something like, if you don't do what I want you to do, then the angels are going to curse you, that type of thing. Okay, so, and there are, of course, then there's child abuse, where a man is either abusing your children or he's threatening to abuse your children if you don't do what he wants you to do. These are all different forms of how that abuse can look coming from a bullfrog. Okay, you obviously want to avoid that, and one of the ways that you can avoid it before you even get into a relationship with the bullfrog is by seeing those controlling tendencies. If you see tendencies where he's wanting to tell you what to wear, where to look, who you should and shouldn't be talking to, these are signs of, these are signs, they're red flags, if you will. And I have a whole checklist of over 50 red flags that will help you to avoid all the types of frogs and a whole bunch more that I cover in module 3, the navigating your outer attraction. All right, so I think I've sufficiently covered the bullfrog. The tadpole. The tadpole is an immature guy. He's immature. He might suffer even from what a lot of people call the Peter Pan syndrome. It's like where he does not want to grow up. He doesn't want the responsibilities of of an adult. He doesn't want the responsibilities of being a grown up. And so that's the tadpole. All right. And if you always have to be the grown up in the dynamic, then you know you're dealing with a tadpole. If he doesn't have a vision of what he wants his life to be like for 5 years out, 10 years out, then those might be signs that you're dealing with a tadpole. All right, somebody who's kind of stuck in that immature state, and he's not even thinking about long term. And if he's not thinking about long term for himself, trust and believe he's not thinking about getting a wife, because men who are thinking about getting married, they prepare for a wife and for a family. Okay, and they are thinking out 5 and 10 years of how will they be able to provide for a family. Okay, you also have the horny toad. The horny toad is a Don Juan. He's a hoe. He's a cheater. Okay, the horny toad is going to be the guy who you will not be the only one. Okay, you will not be. You will be one of many in his harem. You will be one of many in his collection of women. There's a morning radio show where one of the guys, I don't even know if they still do this because we don't get that morning show anymore in my area. But when I used to listen, he would say, "Oh, ladies, 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 ladies," trying to sound. I don't know if he was trying to sound almost like, I don't even know what he was trying to sound like. It was very funny to hear him say that, but the kind of the mindset behind it, like, I got all of these ladies. Like, if you know your worth, you don't want to be one of all these ladies. And so being aware of the horny toad, and unless you make a conscious decision that you do want to be one of more than one, then make it be a conscious decision, and know that you're getting out of that what you want to get out of that. Okay, all right. So that's 3 of the top 3 of the 5 that I'm going to share with you. Let's see. Another one I'm going to share is the poison arrow frog. The poison arrow frog is an addict. Okay, so he's either addicted to something or he's chronically unemployed, meaning he's addicted to being unemployed. All right, so the guy who every time there's always a reason, always a reason, but he never has a job, or he never has a legitimate source of income coming in. That's the chronically unemployed. And obviously the addict would be if he's, and I'm talking about an active addiction. I'm not talking about someone who has been a recovering addict for 10 years plus. Okay, I'm talking about someone who is like less than 1 year, and from being actively involved with their addiction. I would give them time to complete their addiction healing from their addiction. And of course, addiction can be being addicted to drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling. These are just a few. Shopping, men can be addicted to shopping too. Oh, and this is a good place for me to remind you of this. Men are not the only ones that can be frogs, okay? So women can also be frogs. If you are any of these things that I've been talking about, if you're a bullfrog, a tadpole, a horny toad, a poison arrow frog, these obviously are areas where you know that you need to improve for yourself, and these will be red flags for any man that is coming your way. I remember speaking with a gentleman who was sharing with me an experience that he had with a young woman he was trying to get to know, to see if she might be a good mate for him, and if he wanted to marry her. And as he was telling me some different things about her, there was just red flags popping up everywhere from what he was saying about her. And I was like, and I pointed out the concerns and why I thought they were concerns. And he was like, yeah, that's true. This is a friend of my husband's, a good friend of my husband's. And we were both, my husband and I were both, having a conversation with this guy. And he was able to really have some insight about her and about, whether or not he was going to proceed. And he actually, decided not to proceed. and broke off that relationship because it too many red flags. So it's just, I say all of this to say that men are not the only ones who have some work to do when it comes to being ready to be an ideal mate. All right. Okay. So we talked about 4 of the types of frogs. Let me get into the 5th one that I'm going to share with you today. What's the 5th one? Okay. So the 5th one will be the tree frog. And as I mentioned, these types of frogs that I'm sharing with you, there are 10 of them, even though I'm sharing 5 with you today. And they all are in the Soulmate Attraction Factor program. And I cover them in Module 3, the Navigate Your Outer Attraction module. So the 5th type of frog I'm going to share with you today is the tree frog. And the tree frog is a mama's boy. So, or a mama's girl. And that mama's boy means that you're never going to be, even if you're quote unquote the only one in his life, he's married to you, you're the only woman he's involved with, he's still always going to have another woman he's involved with because it's his mother. And you will always be the other woman behind his mother. Okay? If that's something that's not a deal breaker for you, okay. But for many women, they think that it's okay. They think that it's not a problem, and then they get into the marriage and they realize that it actually is a problem. It's not what they wanted for themselves, and it's harder for them to deal with than they thought it would be. Okay, so those are the 5 types of frogs, and I'm so glad that you were able to see what they were. All right, so let me tell you about one other opportunity that I want to make sure that you know about. Remember how I told you that you can get that the Soulmate Attraction Factor program for free if you wanted it? Then I wanted to show you how you could do that. This is where I'm going to show you that. Okay, let me see. Okay, here you go. It's called the Make Over Your Love Life with Private Coaching from Wendy. And that's the opportunity. That's what's going to be on the right-hand screen for you. And the program, the way you're going to get that private coaching from me is through the rapid results. Enjoy your life more and attract the one 90-day private coaching program. And so the way this is going to work is you're going to be able to get 90 days of private coaching from me. And let me see if I can, hopefully you have clicked the link and you'll be able to go over and see what's there. Let me share with you. Oh, okay, you see what's on my screen. Okay. I'm going to try to share with you my internet as well. So that you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, here we go. All right, so when you click the link that's on your screen, you'll go over to this page. This offer that I'm sharing with you now is it's a special offer just for you for attending the webinar, because this is not, you're not going to find this in my Success Boutique. I want to make sure that you know that. So if you're thinking, oh, whatever, I'll look at it whenever I get a chance. I have the whole rest of the month to make a decision about, this stuff, and I can still save the 40%. That's partly true, but it's not completely true. When it comes to this particular offer, like I said, it's not in the Success Boutique, and so you won't be able to get it there. Okay, so as you go down, you scroll down, and I invite you to go back and take a look at all of this stuff when we finish the webinar. These are here are the steps that I mentioned, each of the modules of the program that it's based off of. Today, I taught you some of the information from this step, the first step, and the third step. All right? Okay. I want to make sure that you know what you're going to get from the 90-day coaching. You're going to get 6 private coaching calls. Now, this is a great option if you have already either done the Soulmate Attraction Factor program, or if you want to do that and have some support as you're going through that program. Okay, so 6 private coaching calls. That's going to be 2 each month. Each call is going to be about 50 minutes. And we're going to focus on whatever your specific priorities are. So say you've been listening to the Soulmate Attraction Factor program, and you listen to the different calls, the training calls, and you have a question about something, or you need some support in something, or you feel stuck. Well, that's one of the things that we can talk about with this in your coaching, in your private coaching calls. Another thing that I have had clients use their private coaching calls for is to prepare for a date, to prepare for meeting someone. Like one of my clients had a Super Bowl party that she was going to be going to. So this was back in January. I believe the Super Bowl was in January. I think it was the end of January or the beginning of February. Either way, she was going to go to this Super Bowl party, and she wanted to know some tips and some help on how to maximize her time there. And one of the things that was a challenge for her was that she was doing things or saying things that was off-putting to men, and she didn't realize it. But she didn't realize what she was doing that was off-putting. But what she just knew was that men weren't coming to her, and they weren't approaching her and following up and asking her to get to know her better. And it wasn't a problem with her appearance, because she's a beautiful woman and she keeps herself in shape. So physically, that was not the problem. The problem was in the second step, the second module, the activating her inner attraction. That's where she needed to put a lot of focus. And so we worked on that during one of her private coaching calls. So that's just an example of one of the many ways that you can choose to use your private coaching sessions. Another bonus and benefit of this program is that you get recordings. Each of our private coaching calls, which is just you and myself on the line, I'll record those calls so that you can have access to them whenever you want. So if I say something to you, you don't have to worry about, oh my God, let me write that down. Like, you can write it if you want to, but you don't have to worry about spending all of your time taking notes of what you're learning during our coaching, because it's going to be available for you to listen to later, however many times you want to, and you can take the notes then. All right. Another benefit is you're going to get 90 days. Here I am right here. 90 days of email access. So even between our coaching calls, you can still email me with a question, and I'll be able to help you that way as well. And of course, we're going to, as a coach, I'm all about action. It's not just, listening to something that it sounds good and it's inspirational, but then you leave it at that. I mean, there's a place for that. I love inspirational music for that very reason. It puts me in a good mood, and I feel good, and I feel uplifted and encouraged. And it does what it's there to do. And I also know that I need to get into action about certain things. So I know that I need to tap into other resources to help me to get into action. And so we're going to create an action plan. All right. So remember how I told you how you get the Soulmate Attraction Factor program for free? Well, that's one of the bonuses. When you sign up for this 90-day coaching, private coaching with me, as a bonus, if you're one of the first 10 women to order it, then you're going to receive the Soulmate Attraction Factor program for free. And it's a $696 value. If you were to go to the, let's do that right here. If you were to go to the website, you'd be able to purchase it for $297. But and here, if you have not had a chance to go to that site, this is what it is. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So let's go back up to the top. But why pay for it? You can get it for free. And again, it's a bonus that's available for the first 10 women to order. And another bonus that you get, and this bonus is very, very special, because in addition to the 6 private calls that you get that are phone calls, this is a virtual VIP half day. And a virtual VIP half day is 2.5 hours together in like a lump sum of 2.5 hours of us working together, either via Skype So we both, it's almost as though we're here together via Skype, or via a Google Hangout if that's what you prefer, and being able to deep dive into some of these issues. And it really helps you. A lot of my clients like to use this as kind of like a get started, a jump start type of a thing to really get some fast results quickly. And that is available as a paid in full bonus, meaning if you decide that you're not going to use payments to make this investment and you just want to pay in full to save some money and to get this this virtual VIP half day, then that's available for you. And it's not just for the first 10, it's for however many, you know. So there's not a number limit on that. It just, the only limiter on that is if you decide to make a pay in full investment. Now, you may be wondering, how much is this? I know you're wondering, how much is this? The total value of the package is over $3,300. However, because you're on this webinar, I'm giving you a special, and that special webinar rate is $14.97, and that's the paid in full amount. I'm scrolling down, and there are testimonials here of other women who have made the investment in themselves to get private coaching from me. So you don't have to think, oh, well, has she done this before, or am I the only one who's ever going to sign up for this, or anything like that. I have been coaching professionally since 2009, and excuse me, I have been coaching professionally as part of my own business since 2009. I coached as a part of another job that I did since 2007. So I've got years and years of experience, and so you won't be the first, and there are testimonials there for you. If you know that you're interested in doing this and you want to be able to take advantage of those bonuses, then you have a paid in full link here that you can purchase, and you'll of course get the bonus that's available for you for that. Or if you know what, I'd love to get that paid in full bonus, but truth be told, my budget will really allow for me to make the payments. I'd rather make the 3 payments of $535. Then you would click here, and you can still get the Soulmate Attraction Factor bonus even if you make the payments. Okay, I want to make sure that that's very clear. All right, so let's go over here. All right, so here we are. Let's see if there are any questions. Let me look back in the chat. Oh, good. Okay, I'm so happy to hear that you're loving it. That you really appreciate this information that I'm sharing with you. Excellent. Okay, so if you have any questions, or if you want to say how you appreciate what what you think about what I'm teaching here, then I encourage you to make those comments in the chat. And let me see. And let me go ahead and conclude. I really appreciate you being here and joining me during this time. Okay, so I've shared with you the Soulmate Attraction Factor, each of the modules. I've talked about the bonuses. Okay. Oh, I want to make sure that I tell you about the guarantee. So if you decide to make this investment, it is guaranteed. I stand behind my work, my coaching, my training, all of it. And so if you decide to sign up for this, and by the end of our first call, our first coaching call, you're like, okay, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is not what you said it was going to be. Then all you have to do is just ask for your refund, and you'll get a full 100% refund, no quibbling, and I'll refund you your money right out of my own pocket. That's not even going to be a problem. Okay. So we've already talked about that slide that I just shared with you. So let me go back. Let me wrap up, and thank you so much again for coming. I really appreciate you sharing your time with me, and I know that this was what you needed. I know that this was helpful. And I want you, in fact, before you go, I want you to share with me in your comments the thing that was the most helpful as a part of participating tonight. What was one of the, either, remember I promised that you promised you that you would either have a seed that was planted, have a seed that was watered, or have a seed blossom. I want you to share with me some of what happened with you. What was planted, what was watered, or what blossomed for you while we were together. And while you are typing into the chat window those answers, and if you're I'm not sure, you may have to click the little chat button at the top to get the chat window to come back up if you don't see it. While you're putting in your comments, I want to read to you one last quote that I really love, that has to do with this topic. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, magic, and power in it. Begin it now. And so I share that with you because just as we started off our time together with talking about the power of decision, I want to make sure that you make a decision as to what you're going to do next as a result of learning what you learned here. Now, whether you decide that you want to move further, remember I told you I would teach you everything I could in our time together, and then I also was going to show you how you could get more if you knew that you wanted more. That's what these two opportunities are for you. The opportunity to either do the private coaching with me and get the Soulmate Attraction Factor program at no charge, or whether you know what, I just want to get started and I don't know if I'm ready for private coaching yet, and you just decide to make the investment for the Soulmate Attraction Factor program and take advantage of that 40% savings on that. Either way, however you decide to get started, or you decide to do something different. Maybe you decide to go about a solution that does not involve anything that I'm offering today. Maybe it might involve something else. I want to make sure that you have decided to do something, okay, and not just kind of take a passive role and let whatever happens happen without you being intentional about what you want. All right. So I want to welcome the lady. Thank you so much. I want to welcome the ladies who have decided to join me and to take advantage of the private coaching. Congratulations. That is so wonderful. And for those of you who are thinking about it, I want you to know that this 90-day coaching option is going to be available for you for the next 48 hours. And so I know that for some people you can make a quick decision, and for some of you, you have to think about it and you want to pray about it, and you might want to look at your budget and see what's what, and whether you want to do the pay in full or whether you want to do the payments. That's why I'm giving you that little bit of extra time. But I want to make sure that if you want that Soulmate Attraction Factor program for free, then you need to be one of the first 10 women to sign up. All right? Okay. So thank you so much again for choosing to spend your evening with me. And I look forward to coaching those of you who decide to make that investment. And I hope to see you soon. I hope to see you either on another webinar, another masterclass webinar, or on at a live event that I'll be hosting. Okay, thank you again. Oh, let me see. I've got a couple of comments. Okay, I've got praise God. Thanks, Wendy. Right on point. All right. Okay. Oh, okay. I have another comment that says that remember I talked about the 3 seeds either being planted, being watered, or being or blooming. She says that she had some watering. She had some seeds that were watered today. All right. And this participant is reminding me that she participated in one of my live retreats last summer, my women's retreats last summer. And I remember your name. I recognize your name. Okay. All right. So excellent. Thank you so much for sharing and for interacting with me. I love it when I have that interaction during the webinar, so that it doesn't just feel like, even though I see that you're on the line, I can see that you're on the line and participating. I don't see your face, but I can see your name, that you're up there. But I still like to to have that interaction. It's just more fun that way. And it makes it feel more like you're actually there with the person. So thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful night. May the peace and blessings of God be with you. And I look forward to working with you soon. Bye.